Altogether, No Kings protests have been happening in nearly 2,000 locations around the U.S., including several in southern Nevada. We have live team coverage as a large protest gets underway in downtown Las Vegas. Tiffany Lane and Will Silverstein will join us with live reports in a moment, but we'll start with News 3's Evan Schreiber with more on what we're seeing there right now. Evan.
And Steve, what we're seeing is us coming on the air here at News 3, just as this scheduled No Kings protest set to start right here outside the federal courthouse in downtown Las Vegas. That's where I'm live right now. That's where this crowd has been growing here for the last hour in this Las Vegas heat. You see so many of them behind me holding signs, chanting many of the familiar phrases we have heard, calling for Donald Trump to leave the office of the presidency. It's part of that No Kings protest that has been spreading across the country, and it's something we are watching closely here. It's something these protesters are watching closely here. They have been taking RSVPs all week to find out how big of a crowd they could have. At least one organizer told me just moments ago, at last check, they had seen about 2,000 people on that RSVP list. They expect that to grow. We expect that to grow as this protest is starting here with this rally on Las Vegas Boulevard here outside the federal courthouse. Let's talk about what we saw previously here and what we saw just a few nights ago, that many of these protesters here, at least one organizer I talked to, is saying they're trying to stay away from, trying to distance themselves from what turned into an unlawful situation, according to Las Vegas Metro Police. Remember, Wednesday night, that's when it all started, the anti-ICE protest, sharing many of the same messages out here. 94 protesters arrested, 7 juveniles cited, 4 officers injured during that protest against those federal immigration crackdowns on Wednesday night. So Metro Police put out that statement saying those protesters were taken into custody, saying they refused to obey orders, becoming an unlawful assembly declaration. We saw what happened Wednesday night. Pepper spray was used, pepper balls were used. Police accused protesters of throwing rocks and water bottles at officers, blocking several streets, even vandalizing property here in the downtown area. So we watched the response not only from police, but from the ACLU of Nevada, the American Civil Liberties Union, saying that the organization had legal observers in the protest. We're waiting to find out more about their review into it as we're watching what is happening out here live on this Saturday evening here in downtown Las Vegas. Evan Schreiber standing here on Long Las Vegas Boulevard as the crowd has made its way here. Again, we're expecting several thousand people to make their way to this No Kings protest, as we've been seeing some of the signs, we've been seeing some of the rallying cry, and we are expected to hear from many of those speakers, including possible highly elected leaders here for Southern Nevada. Our Tiffany Lane is standing by. She's actually across the street right now, giving us that front row view to what's expected here with this protest. Tiffany, let's toss it over to you.
Yes, Evan, I did speak with the organizers earlier. They saying this is something they've been planning for 6 weeks now, telling Metro their plans. Metro is aware of it. They're keeping everything peaceful. It is still very loud because they are getting their message across. They have a hard out. They said at 7 they have a plan to get everyone out of here in a very calm manner to make sure that everyone is safe. But I want you to hear from some of the people here in the crowd. They're having everywhere on this side of the street, they have a walkway, so that's why you see this group has to actually walk through to make sure that there is a safe way for people to walk. And then you have people on this side. Let's talk to some of the protesters here. Here is one of them. Why don't you tell us why it's important for you to be here today?
It means so much to show up and to show this government, this administration, that we are the people, and we will fight for our rights, for democracy, and for the Constitution. And I appreciate everybody being here to show their spirit and raise their voice about what this country is turning into and what it will be if we don't rise up. Like my sign says, rise up, America. It can happen so fast. And we are so well represented here, as you can see. So thank you for coming and showing everyone. It means a lot to all of us to have this coverage, you know, because there's no guarantee. Freedom isn't free, and freedom is not out here without a voice. So thanks to everyone.
Thank you so much. And we were speaking with you earlier. What are some of the issues that are really important for you to speak out against right now?
I think a lot of them, especially anything to follow the Constitution. Everyone has a right to be represented in court. whatever that is. But also, the Constitution and all the Bill of Rights and amendments have to be followed. Nothing has to be deviated from that. This is a peaceful, civil, gathering, not a protest, a gathering, and everyone has the right to do it.
And you feel that that's one of the big things with this administration is the Constitution is not being followed?
I think they're trying their best to break the threshold of it and try to break things because their own agenda. But unfortunately, we have a lot of Congress people not strong enough to say no.
Thank you so much for your time. We're going to have one last protester here before we send it back. Well, thank you so much for speaking with us. So what are some of the main issues that you're out here for today?
Well, I feel like we are getting our Constitution taken away, and I don't feel like Congress is protecting our Constitution. I'm worried about where they're putting the people that they're kidnapping off the streets. It's bothersome to me. I can't believe that they're just taking people and we don't even know where they're going. And I feel like we need to be out here and let them know that we're here and our vote matters and we are going to vote them out.
Are you surprised by the size of the turnout today?
I'm proud. I'm proud of the turnout. I'm not surprised. I think Las Vegas is a good political city. We've voted well for a long time.
Well, thank you so much. And as you can see, that is one of the big issues we're hearing from a lot of people is they feel the Constitution is not being defended, and that's one thing they're speaking out against the administration. A lot of other topics, we heard from veterans, we heard from women who believe their rights are being taken away. So we'll continue to speak with people out here today and provide more updates throughout the day. For now, back to you.
All right, well, at this point, we're watching this crowd size go from what we would describe as hundreds now. We're going to have to say thousands before too long, Evan.
Yes, indeed, Steve. In fact, we are watching the crowd grow. We are watching the crowd stay on the sidewalks as we are now listening to Metro Police as my photographer, George Romero, pans over because you see the line of Las Vegas Metro Police Department vehicles blocking Las Vegas Boulevard right now, just outside the federal courthouse right now as they are working to keep people on the sidewalks, keeping this protest here sort of controlled so we avoid what we saw Wednesday night where police said 94 arrests were made. We've got continued team coverage here out on the scene in downtown Las Vegas. Our Will Silverstein is live out here as well. He's been monitoring everything right now and walking the line, talking to those folks here who are taking in this protest, who are participating. Will, what have they been saying to you?
Well, Evan, actually something that they were just saying to you that we heard in the background of your shot, I was hearing back here too, and it is stay peaceful along these protest lines. Now let's just show you how much this area has grown and the street, the cross section where this has grown to, which is now Las Vegas and Bridger. You have officers from Metro Police that have now parked their vehicles in the center of the street. You have officers as well on motorcycles. Now, if we turn the corner here as well to this side of the street, there are so many protesters now with so many different signs, but on the other side of the street, there's at least a dozen Las Vegas Metro Police cars that have camped out over here. The thing is, there's so many protesters that they now outnumber the amount of cars that have gone on the street. We are now walking another whole block as we speak right now over from where we started and where this protest has continued to grow by several sizes in just this last half hour. This scene looks totally different than what it looked like at just 4:30 today. We were speaking with protesters originally out in front of that building. They wanted to keep a little bit of that roadway, that walkway in between where you can walk to make sure that people could go around. If people were suffering from heat exhaustion, they had a place to sit. Now that sidewalk is completely covered with protesters because there's just so many people here. And actually our photographer was watching one protester who was suffering from the signs of heat exhaustion. They were treated by a medic that is here. There's a number of EMS that are with the organization that are here just making sure that people are safe, because as we've been talking about, this is over 100-degree heat, not stopping the amount of protesters that are coming and still filing in here along Las Vegas Boulevard. Evan.
Yeah, Will, thank you. You know, we are watching this protest play out here in downtown Las Vegas. It continues tonight, as we'll be keeping you covered all evening long. We also watched what happened this morning right there on the Las Vegas Strip. A very similar protest indeed this morning. In fact, they called it the No Kings Take Back the Flag protest. We saw what was happening on the Las Vegas Strip. Let's take a look. We had some video from that event. Got underway around 9 o'clock this morning as those protesters marched from New York to the Bellagio and then back. You know, what we're seeing here in downtown is dwarfing what we saw this morning. A smaller turnout, but plenty of people made their voices heard right there on the Strip as this was all happening. Including, we heard one voice heard, our top elected official here in the city of Las Vegas, our mayor, Shelley Berkeley, posting a video today about these protests in the city, putting out a warning to anyone who was interested in coming and checking it out. Take a listen to what she had to say.
All American citizens have a right to protest, and we should do so. But let us do so lawfully. Doesn't make any sense and doesn't help any cause if we're putting graffiti on public buildings, setting cars on fire, or throwing projectiles at law enforcement. Remember, law enforcement is there to keep you safe and keep the city safe. So let us all use restraint and good common sense, protest, but be respectful of law enforcement and of our city.
Well, you heard what our mayor, Shelley Berkeley, had to say in that video recorded message earlier this morning, speaking to many of these protesters who are out here right now in downtown Las Vegas. In fact, what she said about police law enforcement, we are seeing that right now, lining up Las Vegas Boulevard as our photographer, George Romero, is getting a look right through this line of protesters here who have gathered on this side of the street. This would be the west end here of the boulevard as we're looking across to the east end and keeping you updated out here live. Steve Wolford back in the studio. We are going to stick around here all evening long as this protest here continues, this No Kings protest with many of the chants, many of the calls, many of the signs, all against Donald Trump and his administration's policies. Back to you in the studio, Steve.